Last week you saw us fabricating the extension to the cab roof, and then you also saw us putting the cab together. Join us this week for a walkthrough of the work carried out so far on our Land Rover Defender 130 camper. If you enjoy our content, click the like and subscribe buttons and show us your support by leaving a comment. We hope you've enjoyed the process of building the cab as much as we have. Over the last 3 weeks you have seen us putting this together, which is going to be our camper. Now we focused much of this build on Jack, who was doing all the fabrication, but there was many people involved, including one of the guys that was involved was Steve, who sadly lost his life 4 or 5 weeks ago. So the whole process was really good. So what we say when we're building a vehicle, what we're really building, are we building the people who are building the vehicle, or are we building the vehicle? Or is the vehicle the medium to help build people? And that's the process we use. Now this vehicle was originally going to be our kitchen vehicle, but we swapped it around to become the camper. And we're just going to show you around this vehicle and all the work we've done, which was a lot of work was done before the actual cab assembly. So let's show you around. So what we're going to do, Richard here, who is our workshop manager, he is going to take you around all the work that's been done on this vehicle prior to the cab being done.
Okay, so the first thing we had to do was replace our chassis, because the donor vehicle was rocky beyond belief.
Huge, wasn't it?
Yeah, it spent a lot of time in the Channel Islands and the salt got to it.
In fact, we'll show you some footage of that, us cutting the vehicle up
Yeah,
there.
it did end up with a pile of sweeping.
It did.
So we've had a new chassis, galvanised chassis, which we've then painted. Also, the engine wasn't trustworthy on it. We've had a remanufactured engine put in from Turner's Engineering, which has had an additional alternator put onto it as well for the leisure system. We've had the axles refurbished, shot blasted, painted, resealed, hub seals done, wheel bearings done, everything done. Springs, old man in your shops, turrets, and that's just the front.
I think the turrets came, was the turrets come from Gwyn Lewis as well, did we?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
I think they came from, and twin props as well from Gwyn Lewis as well.
Heavy duty props. On the back of the engine, we've also replaced the gearbox, which has come from Ashcroft, which a lot of people will be familiar with. And that has obviously the two heavy duty props. We can't really see the front one here. Much beefier than the standard ones. And then we move towards the back. Okay, so this is our Gwyn Lewis heavy duty prop, coming down to what was a standard axle from the donor vehicle, which again, seals, bearings, hubs, discs, calipers, the springs. We have a double spring set up on this. We've also got Gwyn Lewis heavy duty trailing arms as well. Just give it a bit more beef. It's going to carry probably be the heaviest vehicle we're going to have on it, this one. We've had to install complete new fuel system, filters and lines, a new pump in the tank from the original tank. We've also got a heavy duty heading roll bar on the back, which is here. Poly bushed everything, which is all from terra firma. And then that's the stage we've got to before we start the fabrication on the cab.
So we tried to run the loom. So this loom is made up by one of the trustees of the charity, Salty Stu Hardman, because he's ex-Navy, and we tried to run it through with a conduit through the chassis, but we found there was a strengthening kind of bit in the chassis, which meant we couldn't run it through with the conduit. So what we did is Liam and Jack together got this armoured conduit, which we ran the loom through, which we are now going to run along the outside of the vehicle, which is unusual for a Defender. as they're usually through the chassis. But this has been sealed at both ends, and we think this will be much better. The last clip you've seen of the last episode, you've seen Richard lining up for the door jams. So it's, I think it's 34 3/4, isn't it? I think that's the size. So getting this here square is the most important part of that process, and actually getting the square just in here to make sure this is square, and it gives you some leeway then on the bulkhead to get that. So even though we had all the measurements right and everything set up properly, Richard, what was it like putting this in?
No, it was a pain. Getting everything to line up. If there's any Land Rover owner on, you'll never get spot on. I'm very happy if you can. There's a lot of jiggery pokery, adjustments, spacers, pushing the bulkhead forward, making sure we're getting everything square, and then finally pinching everything into place by bolting the roof down, which holds everything in place.
That's it. Once you get all these measurements right and get the windscreen right, and the roof is the last part, isn't it? That brings everything together. But then that still means you've got to line up all the doors, and that can be a bit of a pain. So that took a bit of time and effort, didn't it?
It did.
But it worked out really well. And I want to point out, Duncan, although Jack did the fabrication of the roof, Duncan did the filling in and even put the ridges in it, which turned out incredibly well. I mean, this was the bit we were most worried about, wasn't it? Like, and when we looked at this at the start, we'd be having a clue how we're going to do this. But Jack came up with a solution, and I think it has turned out fantastic. And once this is painted, you won't even notice this has been done. This will be, you'll think this is factory done. That's the way it's done.
All we need to ask the Jack Carpenter solution for the headline.
Yeah, so the headliner is the next bit, obviously because it's extended. You can buy a headliner, but obviously it's going to have that 6 or 7 inches of space where we have to cut, and we have to do that again, which will probably be some sort of fiberglass setup. So that's been the process. Now, we're probably at a little bit of a standstill with this again because we've got another vehicle to finish first, which will be a kitchen vehicle, which you will be able to see on another series we're doing on just solely on the kitchen vehicle. And then once the kitchen vehicle is complete, which we're not far away from doing, we'll then start assembling the body for this and working out how we put this together. And that's going to be a team effort from everybody involved, all the guys we help here, and it's all a building process, not only of the vehicle, but of the people we work with. Thanks for watching this whole process. If you got this far, we really appreciate it. The guys we work with, it's important that you leave in comments for them, because that's what builds their confidence. And all we're about as a charity, isn't it, Rich, is building their confidence so they can move on in life. And it's your comments and your support that allows us to do that. So many thanks for taking the time to watch our videos. And please go and watch the rest of them. Give us a thumbs up, like and subscribe, and obviously your comments are important. And once more, if you can share the videos, that lets us reach a wider audience, which may reach that veteran who may be in need of help. Anyway, thanks for all.